Level 1. The Thrall. Your name is a word for property. Your only warmth in the long Norse winter comes from the livestock. You are forced to sleep beside. You are standing on the lowest, muddiest rung of a ladder. You did not choose. You learn to hide what you feel to avoid the whip. Your world is a blur of hauling stones and clearing frozen dung. Your fingers crack and bleed from the salt and the cold before they heal and crack again. You do not remember the village they took you from. You remember smoke. You remember the rope around your wrists. You remember the sea taking everything that came before it. You learned Norse because you had to, or you would not have survived. You speak it now, but it does not make you free. It makes you more useful. Useful things do not get discarded. You hold on to that the way a drowning man holds a rope. You learn the first rule of survival. A slave who is silent is a slave who is forgotten. And in this land, being forgotten is the only way to stay alive. You watch the free men sharpen their axes by the fire. You watch the steel catch the light. You carry what they need. You clean what they leave. But in the dark of the longhouse beside the warm breathing animals, you make a promise in the only language nobody took from you. You will not die here. You will not die a word for property. You watch the steel and you dream of the day you can touch it yourself. Level 2. The Karl. You have done the impossible. You have bought your breath back from the mud. But the freedom feels like a heavier weight than the collar, because at least the collar told you exactly where you stood. Now you plow a rocky plot of land that yields more blisters than grain, and you realize that most of life is just mathematics and greed, and the question of whose mathematics wins. You live in a one-room longhouse with a low roof and smoke that never fully clears. A family that survives each winter on the sharp edge of not quite enough. You attend the thing with the other free men. You vote. You speak. Nobody can strike you without consequence. Some days you feel how enormous this is. Some days the field still needs plowing and the sky still does not care what freedom means. You spend your nights staring at the rusted axe on the wall. The village is a web of debts and favors that tightens around you the longer. You stay still inside it. You take the axe down one evening. You run your thumb along the notched edge. If you stay behind this plow, the earth will swallow you before you ever see the world. You put the axe in your belt. You go find the recruiter. Some decisions only feel like decisions. This one was made the night they put the collar on you. Level 3. The Drengr. You have left the plow in the dirt to seek fellowship and fame. You stand on the deck of a longship for the first time, while your stomach churns with the gray sea, and the older men watch you with the patience of people who have already been where you are going and know exactly what it will cost you. You learn the fatal funnel, the gap in the shield wall, where you are most exposed, most vulnerable, and most likely to die. You learn to keep it closed. Hesitation costs, panic costs. Men die in the space that opens between the two. Your first raid is not glorious. It is the sound of breaking wood and the sight of a man looking at you the way a deer looks at a hunter. You kill a peasant, and you wait to feel something terrible. The absence of feeling is what truly frightens you. You thought violence would announce itself with horror. Instead, it is just a thing you did, and then it is over, and the ship is waiting, and the tide will not hold for sentiment. You are no longer a boy with a dream. You are a teammate who has learned to win ugly. You sit on the bench on the way home, and none of the men talk about the absence of feeling. That is how you know they all felt it too. Level 4. The Berserker. You have stopped feeling the cold. You have become a specialist in violence. Who goes through the door first? When the longship hits the sand. In the heat of the shield clash, your world shrinks to a 3-inch circle of steel where you stop thinking and start reacting. Your body moves before your mind gives the order. You move with a choreography that looks effortless because it cost everything to build. Hundreds of raids where your body learned what to do before your brain caught up. You carry the weight of being first at every breach. If you hesitate, the entry stalls. If the entry stalls, your brothers die. You do not hesitate. You trained the hesitation out of yourself the way a blacksmith trains weakness out of iron. Your body is becoming a record of the work. A jagged scar across your ribs. A thumb that no longer closes fully. A mind that will not stop ringing even when the camp is quiet and there is nothing left to react to. You have become the door. You are beginning to forget what it felt like to be anything else. The younger warriors study you before a raid. You cannot teach them what you know. It lives in the body. It can only be earned. Level 5. The Steersman. You have traded the axe for the tiller. You are the observer now. Responsible for 40 lives in a gale that wants to bury you all in the deep. 95% of your job is watching. Reading the flight of birds and the color of the water and the shift of wind in the hour before it decides to kill you. You find coasts not on any map by reading the world itself like a language only patience can teach. You learn the loneliness of the tiller. Every man on the ship is your responsibility. If you misread the stars, the deaths of 40 men are your failure, and yours alone. You carry this every hour of every crossing. You carry it in the moments between sleeping and waking. Leadership is not about shouting. It is about being the man others look to when everything falls apart. When the gale comes from nowhere, the younger men look toward the back of the ship. You show them a face that says, "This is manageable," even when it is not. Especially when it is not. The face is the job. The face keeps 40 men alive long enough to reach the shore. Level 6. The Hersir. You are a chieftain now. A leader from the front. Because a leader who cannot fight is a leader whose men begin to wonder. You manage the intelligence of your fjord. Who is plotting? Who is fading? Which neighbor is building ships he has not announced? You settle blood feuds before they become civil wars. You spend your seasons collecting dues from villages that resent you and need you in equal measure. You learn that being feared is easy. Being respected is the slow poison. It requires you to give away the silver. You bled for just to keep your men from looking for a better master. You hand out arm rings at the feast. You speak men's names in public and remember their fathers' names in private. You are building something that has to be rebuilt every single day, or it begins to fall apart without you noticing. Power is mostly tedium punctuated by violence. The songs do not mention the grain inventories. The sagas leave out the boundary disputes. The poets have no words for the exhaustion of a man who has been responsible for other people's survival for years without a single day of genuine rest. You are good at this. You did not expect to be. You expected to be good at the shield wall, and you are, but the hall requires a different kind of strength entirely. Level 7. The Landyrmenn. You have traded your mail shirt for silk. Now you navigate a hall full of smiling enemies where every word you speak is a wager that could end your life or start a war. You sit at the Jarl's right hand, managing the slow poison of the court shielding your people from the worst of what moves through these rooms. You manage crises that never reach the public. A blood feud stopped before the first sword is drawn. A plot dismantled through a conversation that officially never happened. A rival neutralized through paperwork. And patience and the careful placement of information in the right ears at the right moment. You have become a master of rooms. You choose your words with more care than they appear to require, because you have seen what happens to men who speak without measuring first. You know everything, and you trust no one. And this is not paranoia. This is the job. The man who trusts completely in these halls does not come to the next feast. You attend them all. You eat carefully. You drink less than you appear to drink. You watch. The view from up here is colder than you expected, and you expected it to be very cold. Level 8. The Jarl. You sit in the high seat, where your signature alone can launch a fleet or end a bloodline. You run an entire region, the training, the ship levies, the harvest assessments, the disputes that come to your hall every morning before you have finished your first meal. You are a judge as much as a ruler, and the judging never stops. But the high seat is made of knives. You eat at a table set for 20, and you are surrounded by people every moment and profoundly alone in a way that has no remedy and no name. You missed your son growing up. You were managing a hostage standoff when he needed you. You were on campaign when he said his first real words. You told yourself he would understand when he was older. You are no longer sure you believe that. You are no longer sure it matters what you believe. The solitude is no longer a price you pay. It is just weather. Something that simply is. You look at the younger men at the door, and you see the hunger you once carried, and you know exactly what it will cost them, and you say nothing, because nothing you say would change what they are going to do. You know this, because nobody said anything to you, and it would not have mattered if they had. Level 9. The King of the North. You are a legend who reorders the map of the known world yet. Your body is a failing record of every hard year you endured to get here. You sit in the Great Hall, advising on threats that would terrify your people, while counting dangers that never end. Your knees are shot from years on a pitching deck. Your back aches in the cold, which is always. Your hearing is damaged from decades of shield clash and burning buildings. You sleep poorly. You walk the perimeter of your hall. Before dawn, out of a habit so old you cannot remember forming it. You still run the calculations the way you used to run them at the tiller. Who is rising? Who is falling? Which alliance has a crack that will become a breach if nobody addresses it? You carry every secret you have accumulated, the things you did to get here, the men you removed, the alliances built on foundations that were not entirely honest. You will carry them until you die. There is no one left who knew you when you were nothing. Only the story remains. and you have stopped being able to separate yourself from it. Level 10. The Ghost. You are an ancient lion turning in your notched axe. You sit by a fire in a great hall that is technically yours, but the straw mat of your first winter in the dark feels closer than the tapestries on the wall. You call your son forward. You hand him the axe. It was waiting all along to be passed forward. You can see in the way he holds it that he understands the weight of it. Not the iron weight. The other one. You see a boy at the gate riding away on a borrowed pony to serve a greater lord. He does not look back. Looking back is for children, and he has decided he is not a child anymore. You want to warn him about the 3-inch circle of steel, and the absence of feeling, and the table set for 20, and the son whose childhood disappears, while you are managing someone else's crisis. You say nothing. You know he would not listen. You would not have listened. Nobody ever does. That is why the cycle works. You realized you broke nothing. You only climbed high enough to put a finer saddle on the same old horse. The system that made you a thrall and gave you a chance and took everything you traded for. That chance is still running. It was running before you. It will run long after the runestone they carve for you has weathered past reading. Somewhere in a longhouse, tonight, a new captive is sleeping beside the livestock. His fingers are cracked and bleeding. He is making a promise in the dark in the only language nobody took from him. He will learn. They always do. The cycle continues.